Alright man, the 50 Unwritten Rules of Raid Shadow Legends 2025 edition. Let's do this, man. Rule number 1, Kale is the best starter champion, and it ain't even close. Rule number 2 is that Gallic pickers get very, very angry if you say that Gallic is the worst starter champion, so I won't say it, man, I won't say it. But Gallic is the way. Rule number 3, and you might be able to tell that these are a little bit silly every now and again, but it's alright, man. Rule number 3 is that Plarium are the real endgame boss in Raid Shadow Legends. They are going to do everything they can to bait you into wasting your resources into the wrong event, only to come in with an even better event, you know, like a few days later. And so to defeat the true end boss of Raid Shadow Legends, using your resources smartly and with a plan, for example, planning around monthly fusions and stuff like that, is absolutely key to getting the most out of your resources in this game. Rule number 4 is that as a new player in Raid, you've probably made so many mistakes on your account that most veteran players would look at your account and probably recommend that you just restart completely. But to be honest, and this is the hot take, man, I kind of feel like most veteran players in this game have forgotten probably just how bad they were when they first started playing and how terrible their accounts were in their first few months of Raid when they were just learning the ropes. And so I guess the real rule is this: don't go restarting your account if you've got your starter champion up to level 60. That should be your first objective anyway on your new account. If you've got your Kale or, God forbid, your Gallic up to level 60, then you're fine. You're fine. You're in a good enough spot where you can probably grind back a comeback on your new account, right? And you're doing okay, man. Now, if you have not observed rule number 4, then I take all of that back, man. Rule number 4.5 is going to be make sure that you start off your Raid account using a beginner promo link. It's so many free rewards, you might as well get it done. You can use my beginner promo link down below right now at the top of the video description box, man. Click that link, use it to sign up to Raid, and you'll get your hands on 4 free champions. The first of which is going to be Corrado Fox Hunter, a free legendary champ, as soon as you're done signing up using that link. Just make sure that you're signed out of Plarium Play before clicking on that link and making your new account and stuff to get your hands guaranteedly on these 4 free champions to just get the best possible start going in Raid, man. Rule number 5 has all to do with shards, especially on your early game account in Raid where you're just looking to build up as big of a champion roster as you can get. Never ever pull your Ancients, Voids, Primals, or Sacreds outside of 2x shard pulling events, right? Forget these progressive chance events and all of this nonsense. You want to go ahead and hit the little I button right here when there's a 2x event active and observe the double pull chance on epic and legendary champions for the given shard that you're about to pull, right? 2x events only are your best friend and the only time you should really be pulling shards in the early game of your Raid account. That is to say, I'd say honestly anywhere in the first year of playing the game for most players. First 6 months if you're progressing quite quickly, right? And by that I mean swiping, let's be real. In fact, rule number 6 is going to build on this a little bit, and that is every single resource in Raid. We're talking gems, silver, we're talking forge materials, we're talking skill tomes, we're talking even the medals that you farm from your arenas. Every single resource in Raid has a correct time to be spent, and it's usually linked to in-game events and tournaments. What you want to do as a new player is do a little bit of homework on every single tournament type that can pop up in this game. Dungeon tournaments, goddamn arena takedown, champion chase tournaments, right? Champion training events, artifact enhancement events, all of these things. You want to research all of these events just one at a time. There's no rush, take it steady, but you want to learn about these events and how to maximize your rewards in every event. And that will teach you when to spend every resource in this game so that you're not blowing your load, for lack of a better term, at the wrong time in terms of spending your resources. Rule number 7, never spend your gems to unlock your champion's masteries, man. It costs you 800 gems. You're way better off farming up your mastery scrolls for your champions in the Minotaur dungeon. That way you can be farming experience on some champions, silver, and the mastery scrolls all at the same time, and it's just way more efficient. Rule number 8 is ignore that last rule and spend the gems on your masteries if you want to on your starter champion as they approach level 60 and those gems become available. Rule number 9 is that you can ignore the rule before the last rule if you're a little bit of a whale, and rule number 10 is you can ignore the rule before the last rule if you're just a little bit lazy, you can't be bothered and nobody's watching, okay? Rule number 11 is only ever forge anything in your forge building during CVC tournaments, especially personal rewards CVC tournaments, right? There's no other time that you should be blasting out all of your resources in your forge building, crafting all of the juicy gear that you've been saving up until the CVC is live. It's just free CVC points. You might as well do it. Rule number 12 is that Cold Heart is the best rare champion in the game by a lot. It's not close. I have no idea what the hell Plarium were even thinking when they designed this champion. Rule number 13 is that in the world of YouTube content creators for Raid Shadow Legends, every single champion in this game is either absolutely broken and you must build it up to level 60 no matter what, or it is absolutely trash and you should never build it under any circumstances. There are no grey areas in the world of content creators on YouTube, man. None. Rule number 14 is that if you are low on silver on your account, then the Spider's Den dungeon is like the unofficial silver mine dungeon in Raid Shadow Legends, purely because accessories that drop in Spider's Den sell for like, I don't know, 3 times more, sometimes 4 times more than regular artifacts, right? Accessories in general, especially banners, are basically gold dust if you're looking to just sell them off and make some easy silver. Unwritten rule number 15 is going to be only ever farm the Iron Twins Fortress on Sundays. Why? Because even though it doesn't say it in the game anywhere that I can see, the Iron Twins Fortress gives you double drops, like double the rewards for farming the dungeon, only on Sundays, right? Only when it is Void Affinity on a Sunday. Now, you can farm it on other days if you want, but if you're going to farm it at all and you want to make sure that you're not missing out on the double rewards, Sunday is the day. And rule number 16 is going to be make sure to check the market every single time it refreshes because, again, even though it doesn't say so in the game anywhere, yeah, 5 ancient shards will show up at some point once per month in the market for you to buy out. They'll cost you 200,000 silver. I recommend that you buy them every single time, no matter what, even if you need to sell an internal organ to get the job done. Next to man, we've got some champion upgrade rules. So I'm going to start to break them down into categories a little bit now. And rule number 1 is do not build Yaga the Insatiable, no matter what, under any circumstances. Rule number 18 is do not build out a champion just because a YouTube content creator told you that it must be done. Rule number 19 is make sure that you build out at least one Reviver champion, even if it's just of the rare variety, for every single faction in the game. Having a Reviver on every single faction in the game, even if you just build out the likes of Tree Shield Knot to a level 50 champ, is going to help you finish the faction crypts, right? Faction wars for that specific faction, right? One Reviver, every faction. Really, really good help. Rule 20 is that it's also a pretty good idea to build at least one wave controller champion for every faction as well, for exactly the same reason. Rule number 21 is that not all champions have to be leveled up all the way up to level 60. If you're running a champion that's just there to be a reviver or a pure kind of like buffer across the rest of your team, right? Just providing useful buffs or heals to the rest of your squad, and you only plan on using that champion in faction wars and other kind of lower tier wave content, they can do a damn good job for you at level 50 and you don't need to burn the resources taking them all the way up to 60. Rule number 22 is that the first legendary champion you ever pull on your account must be 6-starred no matter what. Oh yes, King Garog. Rule number 23 is never under any circumstances lend too much credence to in-game reviews. They are so often wrong. These reviews are not reset after a champion is buffed or nerfed or reworked or whatever, and so most of the time you just can't trust these reviews at all. Instead, just type the champion's name into hellhades.com and look at those reviews instead. Most of the time, at least, most of the time, those reviews usually won't lead you astray. Now for some progression rules, man. Rule 24, make sure that you are upgrading your accuracy nodes first as a priority in your Great Hall. Accuracy is a useful stat on basically 90% of champions in this game, whereas every other stat is kind of situational, kind of niche, only benefits a small portion of the champs across the entire game. Accuracy is good for almost everybody. Rule 25 is there's a pretty good chance that as a new player, you haven't even noticed that in Cursed City, when you start playing Cursed City for the very first time, that you're actually playing on hard mode, right? I've had to move my camera over to show this, but for some odd reason, when you first unlock Cursed City and you step into the game mode for the first time, you're set onto hard mode by default, right? And you might just find that there's a lot of free rewards waiting for you in normal mode, which, yeah, you're going to be able to make much easier progress in as well. This is one that caught me out for like 3 weeks. I was like, wait a minute, when the hell did I tab on over to hard? No, it just turns out that you start in hard mode for no good reason. What the hell, Plarium? Rule 26 is that you are having a lot of fun playing Doom Tower until you met Scarab King for the first time. In fact, it could be Scarab King, it could be Bommel, it could be Darkfire. Chances are one of those just ruined your day. Rule 27. Hydra is literally impossible to get even the lowest rank chest in when it first unlocks in your account. Don't worry about it. give it like 3 or 4 months more progression before you should actually start to expect to get yourself the earliest Hydra chests. I have no idea why it unlocks so early. Rule 28, and this is more of like a hidden tip, to be honest, well, like a lot of these rules are, to be fair, is that stage 10 of Spider's Den is bugged like crazy. It drops a ridiculously high amount of 5-star accessories. In fact, while 5-star accessories only have a 20% drop rate in stage 9, if you make the jump to stage 10, they then have an 80% drop rate. It's a massive spike. And what's really curious about this is that stage 10, 80% drop rate on rank 5 accessories. Stage 11, it drops all the way back down to 40%. What the hell? Stage 10 has been bugged since the game's release. It doesn't seem to be getting fixed anytime soon. And frankly, Stage 10 is really only outperformed by Stage 16, right? You don't want to be farming Stage 14, 15, 13, any of that nonsense. No point. Stage 10 or Stage 16. And the only reason Stage 16 is better is because, yeah, it has a small chance of dropping 6-star artifacts, but also in Stage 16, mystery shards will no longer drop and experience brews will no longer drop. So you just get more accessories dropping overall, right? Instead of those pesky mystery shards that you don't really want to be seeing. But yeah, farm the crap out of stage 10 during Spider Dungeon tournaments, or if you just need to make a lot of silver in the early game, you won't be disappointed, man. It's crazy as hell. And god damn it, rule 29, I got ahead of myself a little bit, but yeah, stage 16 is it's just that stage 16 is a great dungeon milestone because experience brews and mystery shards don't drop there. God damn it, man, I got ahead of myself. Rule number 30 is to tell new players in Raid to focus on Demon Lord Clan Boss, but don't tell them what that means. Just say build Clan Boss champions, maybe mention the word poisons in there a little bit, and then just abandon them. Leave them to figure it out on their own. It'll be fine. Did anybody else experience that, man? Maybe that one is just me, but that's how I felt when I was starting out the game, dude. And so rule number 31 is going to be, yeah, Demon Lord Clan Boss is everything. It's the engine that is going to drive your account forwards. If you are able to actually kill and get the max chest from the Ultra Nightmare Demon Lord Clan Boss, the rewards you are getting from the Transcendent chest on the daily and how they average out every month is incredible. We're talking from Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss alone. If you're killing it and getting the 2 chest drops, you're looking at like, I don't know, 8 or 9 sacreds for free per month. Something like 11 legendary skill tomes for free per month. Dozens of ancient shards every month. And not to mention the hundreds of gems and the millions of silver. It's crazy as hell, and it's going to make monthly fusions a doddle. So there you go, man. Now you know why you got to focus on that. But I'm still not going to tell you what kind of champs you need to build. I've got guides up on the channel that do that, man. We're not going to get into that now, don't worry. Alright, man, moving on to the gear category. First of all, man, rule number 32 is that just because a piece of gear is legendary and 6-star, or even mythical and 6-star, doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. In fact, this mythical speed weapon right here is arguably just, I don't know, a hell of a lot worse than the likes of even this 5-star blue speed piece right here. In fact, I think that this blue piece is a lot better, and it's not even close. That is all to move us on to rule number 33, which is stats over sets, especially in the early game, right? The stats on a piece of gear are worth so much more than trying to shoehorn in a set piece with, you know, flat HP as a main stat on your boots, and then flat attack on the chest, and, oh, but I've got like 6 pieces of perception gear. Yeah, but your champion is slow as hell, they have no survivability, they don't do any damage, and their crit rate is 18%, okay? Disaster. Stats over sets, especially in the early game, boys. Rule number 34, and it had to be Lady Annabelle on the screen for this one. You know what I'm saying? Percentage stats are always better than flat stats, right? You can roll percentage stats as the main stat on your gloves, on your chest, and even on your boots. And yeah, these are always going to be preferable, and same thing included on the sub-stats as well. Rule number 35 is that speed is the best stat in the game, and in fact, even your slowest champions on your team, your big, slow, cumbersome damage dealers, shouldn't really have any speed that is lower than 160. A lot of players draw the line at 170, but 160, even for the early game, should be sort of like a minimum goal that you are pushing for. Rule number 36 is that accuracy is required to land any effect on the enemy that is not damage, right? That can be debuffs like the decreased speed and the weakened debuffs here on Estrid. It can also be things like 10-meter reduction against the enemy, things like stealing their buffs, reducing their buff duration. Literally anything that's not damage requires accuracy. Oh, and you need 10 accuracy roughly per dungeon stage in order to be landing your effects against the enemy bosses and the waves. Rule 37 is that you can roll up and upgrade your flat stat gear, for example, this projection chestplate right here, but never ever roll up these gear pieces above rank 12, right? Ideally, if you're ever going to roll up a flat stat piece of gear, then it better have damn good substats, and you're looking to roll into as much of the OP substats, in this case speed, as you possibly can. If the rolls go bad, that piece of gear is pretty much in the bin. But even if the rolls go good, don't take it at rank 16. It's a waste of silver 99.99999% of the time. Rule number 38 is that crit rate main stat gauntlets are going to be your best friend in the early game for getting your nukas up to 100% total crit rate. And rule 39 is that crit damage main stat gauntlets are going to be your new best friend for your nukas as you upgrade your gear and are able to hit 100% crit rate without the need for crit rate main stat gauntlets on your nukas, right, once you go into the mid and the late game. Next up, man, and this is going to be a fun category, man, these are rules for spending in Raid. Here we go, man. Stick with me now, boys. Hold your nose. We're going in. Rule number 40. The best possible spend you can make in the shop, and it's not even close, is going to be the daily gem pack if you do choose to spend in the game, right? It's $10 a month for a crazy, crazy amount of monthly gems that you get in a small package every day. Great pack. Good job, Plarium. Rule number 41. Most deals that have the hot label on them are actually terrible, okay? They're lukewarm at best, and most of them, I even dare say, are tepid. Rule number 42. Never buy artifacts or accessories from the cash shop. You have no idea what you are even buying, right? What if you buy this goddamn legendary banner, it shows up, oh look, it's a resistance banner, and it has all flat stat rolls with no speed substats, and it's a piece of... I'm going to tell you what you're going to do with it. You're going to sell it immediately. That's what you're going to do, and then you're going to cry because you wasted money on buying, well, or just gambling on artifacts in the shop. Not a good idea, man. Rule 43, in all seriousness, is set yourself a budget when it comes to spending in Raid and stick to it, and always remember that the only person you're really competing with in Raid is your own account yesterday or your own account last week, okay? Nobody cares, okay, how stacked your account is but you, right? Put things into context before you spend in Raid, man, and stick to your budgets, even if that budget is 0. Rule number 44, moving on from that, is never ask a bro how much they spend in Raid. And rule number 45 is never ask a bro how much they spend in Raid, especially if it's during a CVC and there's free rewards coming in. You've got one job, and it's to keep your head down, click on the rewards, and don't ask questions. Rule number 46 is that if you win a live arena match, it's because you outsmarted your opponent. Rule number 47, if you lose a live arena match, it's because your opponent is a filthy whale. Rule number 48, man, in the gem shop, the best offer pile of silver is only the best offer when put beside its equally trash brethren silver offers. If I was to spend these 1400 gems on farming up Spider Stage 20, and I was to use all of these gems to just buy energy refills, so about 4,500 energy from all of those, then I'd be earning somewhere between 16 to 18 million silver just from farming the crap out of Spider Stage 20 during something like a Spider tournament, so you get extra rewards from that as well. It's just so not worth it. It's almost indescribable to spend your gems on this best offer pile of silver, man, and the others are even worse. In fact, rule 49, the only things worth spending your gems on in the gem shop are going to be full energy refills to help get you through things like Dungeon Divers events and stuff like that. You can buy the big shard pack. It's much better value than the hot small shard pack, so you can go ahead and spend your gems on the big shard pack if you really need the shards to get through something like a fusion. Again, be very precise and calculating with how you're spending your gems on these. And then finally, things like the 3-day experience boost banner. If you run out of your experience banner during something like a champion training tournament and you really need one active, again, much better value to buy the 3-day boost than just the 1-day boost. Can also spend some gems as well on tag arena refills and classic arena refills. Again, if a tournament is ending very soon and you hadn't had much time to play and now you want to blast the hell out of classic arena and get a tournament done, again for something like a fusion or something like that, be my guest. You can go ahead and do that, but most of the time, you're not going to need to be buying these, right? And rule number 50 is that I've definitely missed a rule that I should have covered, and you've been waiting for it for the whole video, and here we are at the end. You made it, and I didn't mention that rule. So make sure to go ahead and share your own unwritten secret rules to Raid Shadow Legends down below in the comments, man. It can be tips, it can be mistakes, it can just be funny little truisms, you know what I'm saying? While you're down there, why not kickstart your new second raid account right now using my good old beginner promo link, which as always is the top of the video description box. Go ahead and click on that link, get yourself 4 free champions to kickstart your new raid account, and I'm going to catch all of you guys just a tad bit later, man. Woo! I got to rest my voice.